Hi, everybody. I'm Natalie, and I'm really excited to have Jakub with me today to talk about Kinaki. Jakub is the co-founder of Salanga, which is a social enterprise here in Canada that provides capacity building and advisory and technical expertise and tools to both organizations and individuals working in international development and humanitarian assistance. And Salanga developed Kinaki, which is a software tool for project design and monitoring and evaluation. So that's what we want to learn all about. But to begin, I want to learn a bit more about you, Jakub. What's your passion, and how did that how did that bring you to your current work?
Well, thank you, Natalie, for having this interview with me today. And yeah, my passion is about sort of the just in a world, and also the world where all people can contribute to their own change and sort of be part of the change that they believe should happen and they want for the change to happen. And so I strongly believe in community or targeted community role to play in international development and humanitarian assistance, and also in any kind of social project where the community should be part of the design, but should also really closely focus on how they can contribute to this change. And that this passion brought me really to the team and be able to lead an amazing group of people that all of us are passionate about sort of the same matter. And beside that, we also share the passion for enjoying working with the communities all around the world, with people of all kinds, of any interests and beliefs.
So I'm really curious about how that passion for involving community ties in with Salanga's inspiration to create Kinaki.
We really wanted to see everybody on a team to be part of the design, and not only people on the team, but ideally also going beyond, going to the communities and engaging the communities in the design.
So it sounds like the gap that you really wanted to fill was to have something really user-friendly, easy to learn, where there wasn't that learning curve that might be needed with other softwares, so that it kind of democratizes and opens up the capacity to engage directly with the data collection and analysis for everybody, those on the team and those in the community. What's the vision behind Kinaki? You know, what's the vision of future possibility that motivates you?
What we want to achieve is a tool that not only allows the project team to define their own project goals and objectives and measure it and collect data for it and report on it. We also want at the same time to have the community voice, either as a fully powered community design and community-led mail, or at least as a contributing to the system, that these two systems can work together, the project monitoring and the sort of theory of change designed by the community.
So it sounds like it's really designed for organizations who want to work in a very participatory, community-driven way, integrating the design with the monitoring and evaluation. And so I'm curious, who's currently using Kinaki?
Currently, we have about 200 users, or over 200 users around the world, over 200 organizations. We have many more individual users. There are some organizations who made a decision, like, for example, ADRA, several from the global network of ADRA organizations. We have, I think, about 14 different national organizations that are using it for a lot of their projects. There are other, like I could name Oxfam that is launching to use Kinaki as well. But the key thing is that we don't try to judge whether you are small or big. We have some really small organizations that are using Kinaki and are very happy with it. One of our client has just like one small midwifery house and that's their programming, and they are very happy for what can Kinaki do for them. And some other are large $20+ million projects that are also utilizing Kinaki. So we know that one tool is not a fit for everybody, and we try very carefully in the initial stage to discuss with each partner whether Kinaki is the right tool for them. And we we are not afraid saying no to organizations or saying, we don't think this is the right tool for you. But we do have all spectrum from very small to some really large organizations using it at this point. And currently, about maybe 40% or 30% of them are in Canada.
Great.
Of Canadian organizations and their partners, let's say.
Right. So if I'm one of those organizations, or I'm an individual in one of those organizations, what can Kinaki help me do? How will I know if it's a fit for my needs?
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest power of Kinaki is in housing all the different steps that are in project design and monitoring, evaluation, and learning under one roof, which means it starts from sort of formulating the project ideas through the problem tree, and soon we would like to open it up to more wider theory of change and different models that could be not only sort of basing it on the problem tree and the needs assessment, then sort of formulating the response to these needs that you identified through like project logic design and designing the visual sort of structure of the project and the connections between different outputs and outcomes. And then it also allows you to sort of create your indicators and the way how you will measure this change and how you will measure that the project is progressing, or the initiative is progressing towards the right goals and has a chance to achieve it. And then that's the first step. These are the free features that are in Kinaki and are free for everyone, available to use for any kind of use. And then you can dive into the data collection, designing the collection tools, your questionnaires, we are also hoping soon to launch the qualitative data where you can design your focus groups discussions and the tools, how you take the notes and stuff like that. And then you can go to the analysis of the data. And we believe the analysis is one of the strong parts of Kinaki. Beside that, all the connections, that's the strongest parts are all the connections together. But we believe the analysis is where a lot of people just struggle and they don't have the skills, the analytical skills or the Excel skills or the knowledge of other tools to be able to analyze data. We actually see people who have never done any analysis before to be able to do it in Kinaki in sort of intuitive way, because a lot of stuff is like drag and drop, and you can very easily do a cross-filtering among different variables and things like that. And then going all the way to creating reports that you need to share to the donors. We have like one motto in Kinaki that I think is really important, and that's saving time calculating the results and allowing this time to be actually used for analyzing the results. And we believe this is the biggest power that Kinaki brings. Allow you to do things that you don't need to spend time on quickly, so then you can really interpret what the results are telling me and what I'm learning about the project and the content.
I'm wondering, there are different frameworks and terminologies depending on the donor, and some organizations deal with various donors, so they're having to translate, the logic model looks different. How does Kinaki work with that variety?
So this was one of our key sort of principles from the very beginning. Although I must say that Kinaki is designed with a heart at the Canadian approach, and the default is the Canadian approach, the GAC approach to RBM. However, we really wanted the tool that can adapt to different donors. Even within one project, that you should be able to have multiple reports that can each speak to the different donor. So without any customization, because we don't believe in like a customization per organization, we believe the coding should stay where it is and do as little as possible, and then allow the flexibility to organizations to change it themselves. You can change, you can adapt the language, you can adapt the number of levels that you use and for your donors. So currently we have some donors from some organizations that are funded by DFID. We have organizations funded by Go First Canada, by some private foundations, but also by USAID. And we find that to majority of the requirements, Kinaki can adapt and fulfill these requirements without any sort of customization, which means that you can set up your project really, really fast with just the initial sort of idea of how you adapt things. And one more thing that I think is really important, Kinaki also works in the multilingual context. So if your team is either in a country where there are many languages, or it's a multilingual, multi-country teams, then you can work in many languages as you wish. Especially your data can be in any language. So you can do the project logic or the design in English, but you can also look at it in Swahili at the same time and be switching, or each person can be looking at a different, and if they do the modification, they are sort of integrated into the other languages as well.
What I saw is that I'm able to actually go in and change the terms myself, and I can do that in whatever language I want. So
That's right.
It'll give me the results levels, for example, in the logic model, but then I can change those labels. So, I'm thinking about this very unique and unprecedented time that we're in, where with a global pandemic, we're suddenly needing to work at a distance and engage with remote teams and also do data collection somehow without necessarily being able to go into the field. I'm wondering how that's impacted on Kinaki and how people are using it.
Mm-hmm. Well, there are two sort of sides of the impact. One is that we actually see a huge increase in the number of people who sign up for the free features in Kinaki. I think this could be connected to that people finally are or were forced or are still forced to stay home and do more research, more learning, and they are definitely discovering Kinaki a lot. So we do see this increase. But on the other side, we do have organizations who reach to us and they say, look, we cannot come on the ground. How can you help us? And so we did really lots of thinking around how Kinaki can contribute. We don't think necessarily Kinaki is a tool to find a solution for the current situation and the pandemic, but definitely Kinaki is a tool that can help organizations to adapt to the new normal that we likely are going to see. And one of the adaptation is, as you mentioned, to be able to do sort of remote management of monitoring, evaluation, learning, and remote sort of engagement with what's happening on the ground. And for us, the big challenge is the qualitative data, because again, when we have no presence, no direct access, it's really hard collecting quantitative data. And qualitative data is a big piece. Generally, in the normal times before COVID, we had organizations coming to us every day saying, hey, we need to house together quantitative and qualitative data. And I think in the time of COVID, it's even the need is like 300 times more, that everybody needs to be able to rely on stories and make sense out of stories, pictures, and whatever other qualitative data they can get from the ground. So we are working really actively on the qualitative piece in Kinaki that will allow you to design your data collection tools, for example, observation forms or focus group discussion forms, and so on, and then be able to sort of analyze it, process it in Kinaki, tag it with like a tags, and then be able to see it in some kind of trends and context, all the qualitative information, maybe together with your quantitative, if you were lucky enough that you could collect some quantitative data. For us, this is a big challenge, and we believe we have a solution. We already start to work on it, and we have the design. We are also looking for funding that would allow us to sort of do this step much faster. And we already secured the starting seed for the funding, so we could start with this process. But we are still talking to other possible funders for this, and we are looking for funding to be able to fully bring organizations on board. And what's important to say that when we are designing this qualitative piece, or where we were designing it, we really had a lot of our partners sitting with us, talking with us, what they need in this sort of like a process of collecting and analyzing qualitative data, and especially in the remote way, because right now Kinaki is used in several fragile countries where there is, even prior COVID, no access due to security or other reasons to the ground. And that's also a big part of our thinking, like how can Kinaki help with adaptation to these kind of ever-changing environments.
Thank you so much again, Jakub. And it's really been a pleasure, and I'm excited to keep working with Kinaki myself and to bring it to others as well.
Thank you, Natalie.